Hello and welcome back. It's 2 episodes in 3 days of Take a Pull. Deck Carr and Andy Cummins. We're back again for Top 13, which will be covering the first day of Fairyhouse's big weekend, which is fantastic. The third big weekend in a row. We've had Navan, we've had Punchestown, now we have Fairyhouse. Coming off a bit of success with Top 12 deck as well. A couple of winners in there. How are you?
Yeah, good. Still, I'm on the mend, but still testing.
Sound better. You sound better.
Yeah, I feel better than I did on Top 12, but still testing positive.
Okay, well, that's not good actually, but it's good that you're feeling better. You're probably declaring a non-runner then for Fairyhouse the weekend, are you?
Yeah, I don't think I'll make it to Fairyhouse the weekend.
Oh, fair game.
I'm trying.
I'm due a trip. I haven't been in 2 weeks now, so I am due a trip to the races. So, look forward to it. Well, look, bit of success deck. We had, as I said, a couple of winners there today, which was always nice on Top 12. Headlined by the impressive Classic Getaway, who I took souls in front. I thought he was really, really impressive, beating Uwain Kalor in the listed chase today over 2 3/4 miles. Very unexposed 7-year-old as well. I think that was only his third start over fences after an interrupted novice campaign. What did you think of that? I thought that was brilliant.
I thought it was very impressive because he carried a penalty today as well. And that was kind of, he showed what he's always promised he could do. And that was a deep race today. Now, look, some of them weren't off. I don't think Capitano was off. But,
no.
French Dynamite went with him. Hatton went with him. They were receiving weight off him. And
he forced mistakes out of him as well.
Yeah, he did. Danny saw good from the front. Thought it was a great ride. But he looked spectacular. He may have, I know he's probably had a few injury issues, but he may have just filled out into his frame now. A big horse.
Yeah.
He looked a nice horse today on the telly. But he was a joy to watch. And I think he's a Gold Cup horse.
Yeah, no, I do too. I was half worried now, maybe the others didn't quite run the races, but I don't think it'd be fair to say that on the winner. He's probably ran to the mid 150s there. As
he's
I said,
since April as well, So.
Yeah, absolutely, and even that race in April, he was well back for that Punchestown race, and obviously coming off a very interrupted prep. It's always interesting to see when trainers, when their connections back a horse, they're usually not quite wrong, and it was just the next day, which happened to be the start of the season. But I thought he was brilliant, and he's a horse I'd love to see up on the front end of the Gold Cup if he can get a bit more experience into him, because I don't think the trip would be any issue for him whatsoever. My only worry is, and it would be a borderline war crime if he ended up in the Ryanair, which I'd be sick, but let's hope not. We've already had to endure.
He has too many darts for that sort of messing.
You would hope so. You would hope so. He looked every inch a potential Gold Cup horse, and hopefully it's onto the Savills Chase next, where a very open Savills Chase, I might add, after what we talked about on Top 12 with Faster, Slow, Galopin de Chance, etc. There's no one you should really be afraid of. You'd have to respect them all, but there's no one you should be really quaking in your boots for right now. And then obviously, Deck, just before we move on to Fairyhouse for Saturday, a really impressive hurdling debut, and we were mentioning that there was kind of rumour mill was swirling about Daddy Longlegs and how he might actually have quite a bit of talent about him. A long time we hadn't seen him since the UAE Derby in 2012, which was saying. But no, I thought he was very impressive, and he went and just done it. Like a very, very good horse. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I was very, very impressed. But how does Willie find his horses? How do you go? There's a horse who's beating a short head, flatbred, over 12 furlongs. That's Saint-Cloud. I think he'd make a lovely jumper. I don't know what him or the scouts see, or did they get these trainers to? Are these trainers skilling them and getting on the phone saying, "I have one for you"? He's by Alman's over, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, very, very impressive. The Jigginstown horse did stay on very well, having been beat a good bit out. So you'd hope he's obviously come on for his run from the last day. He should come on again, but I'd say we might see a different horse when he's up the trip, and particularly when he goes chasing next year. But Daddy Longlegs, very, very impressive. You'd have to really like that.
Yeah, Paul Townend said after the race that possibly the future champions novice hurdle at Leopardstown next start. It was a grade 1 over 2 miles. It's run on the 27th of December, won by Fastball Vega last year. But I think there is a 4-year-old only hurdle at Limerick over Christmas time over 2 miles, a race that's usually infamous. And what I say, that's the race where Galopin de Champs only went halfway before being pulled up in. And I think last year Brazil, yeah, he did, yeah. And Brazil was beaten in it as well. Brazil was beaten, I think, at 1-6 in a match last year in that. So it's a race that usually causes carnage for favourite backers. But maybe because he's a flatbred, they don't want to keep him to, or they don't want to send him to very, very testing ground in Limerick, which would be fair enough. But that is a race that is open to him as a 4-year-old, and I would imagine you'll get an entry there as well. And it could be a borderline penalty kick for him, as it usually does, just throw up very, very small fields. It just depends if Willie Mullins, I think, he'll handle that very deep winter ground, which would be a big, big question mark. But he's blessed with a lot of talent, and I'm very excited to see where he goes next. He's definitely one of the best novices I've seen this season. Right, Deck, unless you don't have anything else to add there from Turles, you're happy to move on to Fairyhouse?
No, look, well done to you. It was a good day. And
yeah.
Richie Hogan pointed out we actually had the first tray in the handicap.
We did, yeah.
We went out doing the TriCast.
Yeah, there's no country that represents a TriCast. We had the odd Bolivian and Colombian today, but not I don't know what a TriCast represents. Maybe a tricolour. I'll pick a flag with a tricolour. There's plenty out there to choose from, including ours truly. It was brilliant. It was a great day. I didn't get too heavily involved now. We've made a few quid. We'll throw it back into the podcast. Sure. But we'll move on back to the first race then, Deck, of Saturday. And this is I'm enjoying, like, I'm going to enjoy this weekend now. I'm going to hopefully sit back on the couch and recuperate after a long enough weekend. The Jim Ryan Racecourse Services Beginner's Chase. It's over 2 miles, 5.5 furlongs. As competitive as ever, really. We see Corbett's Cross, who slightly disappointing on his chase and debut, but you could always forgive a horse their first time over fences. Nick Rocket and Three Card Bragg also headlining here, and Cotta Horla. Putting you on the spot, Deck. What's Cotta Horla in Irish?
Oh, what is it?
What happened? Who do you fancy here?
I think this is between Nick Rocket and Monty Star, and I'm really, really struggling to split them. Monty Star was pulled up in the Albert Bartlett, but as we've said a few times, like, there's no real shame in that. It was a very attritional race. He beat Hidden Valley Lake in the Grade 3 at Clonmel before that, and he was second to Shambally Kid in his maiden. I think they were his only 3 runs over hurdles, so he's likely enough race. Only a 6-year-old. He's actually by off the park as well. Nick Rocket is another one who's likely enough race. He was the Grade 2 winner at Fairyhouse. You actually gave that race a bit of stick.
I did. I gave it a bit of stick last night, yeah. Or 2 nights ago.
A couple of weeks ago, and then Fardon's Glory went and won impressively enough in his maiden. Fardon's Glory actually made his jumping debut in that race. Nick Rocket's 2 from 2 over hurdles, and he's a point-to-point winner. Look, I know Corbett's Cross is in here, but his jumping's going to have to improve massively, and until it does, I couldn't be backing a novice chaser until I see an improvement in his jumping. Three Card Bragg was 5th in that Albert Bartlett. He disappointed in the Auction Series final then at Punchestown, but like, again, I'm kind of forgiving any horse that ran in that race. I'm happy to put a line through that run. He could follow Monty Star and Nick Rocket. I am really struggling to split them. I'd probably side with Nick Rocket. Okay. I'd say there won't be much between them at all.
Yeah, bit of a late bloomer. Nick Rocket, he didn't make his hurdling debut until February, and then obviously went and won. He won an auction race, I think. Then did he win an auction hurdle? Actually, it was March when he made his debut. Actually, wasn't it? Sorry, and then he easily beat the company sergeant. I know I did. I definitely gave that race a bit of stick. Look, I'll stand by it. I said what I said. But no, he looked every inch a chaser. Monty Star, obviously, as he said, pulled up in the Bartlett. Although, beating Hidden Valley Lake in that Grade 3 is strong form. Yeah. So and that's a race that Henry de Bromhead tends to run a decent horse in. He's done it a couple of times. Obviously, as you said, Hidden Valley Lake in there too. Cotta Horla is the one I'm really drawn to for the future, though, because he kind of reminded me a little bit of Impervious in a way, that he just completely flat out disrespected his hurdles, and I think he's going to make a hell of a lot better of a chaser. Now, I'm not saying he's going to go be winning a beginner's chase. It's not going to happen. He's not going to win this beginner's chase anyway.
Oh, like he was beating off 126 or something, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But he was. We were actually at Naas today. He was. They punted the ears off him.
Yeah.
That debut, and I don't know what mark he won off, but he was
109.
109, wasn't
yeah,
it?
he won down handstands and took half the hurdles with him in the process as well.
Yeah.
And he was hampered, and he still won down handstands. He bumped into Lyser at Fairyhouse on his next start. Lyser, who was absolutely thrown in as well. I think they were 10 or 11 lengths. Yeah, no, there was only a neck between them, and I think it was a half a furlong back to the third or something. It was just one of these unlucky ones. And then, as I said, flat out disrespected all his hurdles, nearly all his hurdles at Fairyhouse. So I had a nice bet on that day as well. And I just thought he'd be a horse that would respect his fences a lot more than his hurdles, and I'd expect him to make it into a really, really nice handicap chaser by season's end. But
he's not going to be off here, though.
No chance. No, the green cap is going to be proudly swung around the back here, and he'll probably come home nicely. I'm just hoping to see a nice round of jumping. Yeah, 3-card Bragg, a horse I had a lot of time for last year. My Cheltenham Nap last year in the Bartha. So yeah, less we say about that, the better. But again, he'll make every inch a chaser. He's a lot of people's ideas of a 4 mile type or a National Hunt Chase type down the line, but I don't know. There is a bit of talent about this horse. Like he was able to lay up with really good horses over shorter trips. Like he was only beaten a neck by In the Pocket at Naas, like over 2.5 miles. Now there was omitted hurdles that day, and it probably did shape into a race that would favour stayers. But that's high class form, and if you're a boat, you're not able to get within a neck of In the Pocket really over any trip, in my opinion. Anyway, so I'm very interested to see how he goes chasing, and if the ground is soft, I would imagine he'll take some whacking. So I'm tentatively going with him because he has won off a break before. The softer the ground, the better. There is definitely a touch of class about him, and I think he's probably the one I'd be slightly leaning with. I do see the case for Monty Starr and Nick Rocket, absolutely. Probably not a race to play too hard in, but I can't get away from 3-card Bragg. I'd be borderline malpractice if I let him slide, by given how much I liked him as a novice hurdler last year. So it'll be 3-card Bragg for me and Deck. Your side with Nick Rocket, yeah?
I'm side with Nick Rocket, but I don't think Monty Starr is going to be too far behind him.
Happy days. On to the ladies' handicap then next, the handicap chase. This is the 12-15. It doesn't get easier. Like 123 being the top weight where it all began. Reddy's Island, who obviously we tipped up on tap 12, or still, she was able to ignore Deck's abuse and still win. But, do you think, is there a chance she gets turned out here under a penalty, Deck? Or
I think, look, if she's all right in the morning and she's all right Saturday morning, I think she would too. Look, it's not a race I really like to have a bet in. Like, it's, no disrespect to any of the jockeys, it's kind of like having to work out 2 handicaps in one race. It is quite difficult, and it's not one I'd be getting heavily involved in. But if I was to, I'd probably go with the top weight where it all began. I think he probably has a bit of room off that 1, 2, 3. He was pulled up in his handicap debut or there, but never went the yard, and that could have been just first time. British racing, they go a bit faster. It could be a bit more helter skelter, and he may just not have enjoyed it at all. He also had to travel, and it just might have been too much too soon for him. But he's been behind some nice horses in his in beginners chases. He did run in the Abbott Bartlett in 22, the one that the Nice Guy won. He was pulled up in it. He's a horse I'd say I think he has ability, and I'm happy to forgive that air run because it was probably just a little bit too much too soon. It was probably the wrong place to start him off in a handicap, and I think he could show that he's better than this. I know he's top weight, and he's what's 1 second. Like he's 123.
123. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So 5 pounds down to number
Yeah.
two. Yeah. Look, I think he might be the safest option here. I think he's rated the best horse in the race, and I think he might have room off it.
Okay. Yeah, well, Soda Flow is probably the most unexposed horse in the field. Probably 2 runs over fences. Last seen getting beaten by Grange Clare West at Nace in a beginner's chase. A few fences admitted that day as well. 118 would, in my opinion, leave him a little bit short of his best form over hurdles. Like third to Franciscan Rock and then winning a Limerick maiden hurdle, beating Castlefield Boy. Castlefield Boy I think is rated north of 120. So kind of going on that logic, I'd have Soda Flow as maybe a 126, 127 horse. So they've let him in the handicap here after 2 runs off 118, which for an unexposed horse that hasn't really shown jumping issues, he looks well handicapped to me.
I thought he was trying fairly hard at Fairyhouse now.
Yeah, no, he could well have been, but like, you know, he's not chasing around flanking maneuver here. He's chasing around. You know, he's chasing around horses of his level now. And given his form at Limerick, and I don't think he's a bad jumper. Given his form at Limerick, I would imagine 118 would give him every chance of winning this race. But again, you're taking, no disrespect to the jockeys involved, you do have to take that into account. I completely agree with that. I would imagine the favourite's going to be Vinox for Philip Rotwell, though, who's banged in a couple of winners. I think this week he definitely had a winner at Thurles anyway, Thursday. I think it was the last race. I'm not convinced this horse stays 3 miles, and I'd imagine
the outsider of the field.
He's not Vinox.
Yeah.
He's not.
16, yeah.
Jesus. Okay. What price was what Soda Flow favourite then?
No, Where It All Began is actually favourite, and Neddy's Island second favourite.
All right, I've completely read this race wrong. So what tissue am I getting on Soda Flow then? 8. And Vinox 16s.
16s, yeah.
So I've gone from probably not having a bet to maybe hedging my bets and backing two of them, because I think both of them are good value.
We've called them wrong a couple of times the last few weeks, so it will be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how they open up and how quickly they do.
I'd be gobsmacked if Vinox opened up. I'd be absolutely gobsmacked if he opened up 16-1. See, he ran quite well under a lady, Miss N Parker, who was claiming 7. That was at Fairyhouse in November, and look, he travelled well, but I'm just not 100% sure he stays 3 miles. That was only last week, so I could see him going well, coming back to 2 miles 6 with the yard going okay as well. And Soda Flow, as I said, probably scope off 118. I'd give them little chances. I'm not sure how confident I'd be, obviously, with, as you said, with the jockeys. But if I got 8s and 16s, I'd happily back both of them for small money, because I'd be sitting there pretty comfortable that you'd be on 2 nice dockets come the off. So that's probably the way I'd play this deck. And what about yourself?
Where It All Began. I'll just back the best horse in the race.
Just back the best horse in the race, as what the handicap says. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And as you said, he could well be above the grade given how he was campaigned as a younger horse. The 1250 deck, this is probably going to attract some of the most attention on the card. And it's only a maiden hurdle. You should never probably say that in Ireland. It's only a maiden hurdle. It's the Kettles Country House Hotel supporting Fingal Ravens GFC race day maiden hurdle for 4-year-old plus. Ballyburn, this marks the hurdles debut of one of the biggest talking horses in the off-season, Ballyburn, dual bumper winner. I think you said, Deck, before this lad made his bumper debut that this thing was a right one, and he made his debut in a bumper where a lot of horses were fancied, and he followed up pretty well at Punchestown, beating Dancing City a horse who I have a lot of time for. I know he disappointed on his hurdling debut, beaten kind of doing handstands. Slade Steele, who already made a real nice start to his hurdling career at Naas, back in third that day. What would you make of Ballyburn, and most of all, what would you make of the three-time bumper winner Firefox, who's going up against, who is race fit?
Yeah. It was at Punchestown the day one. It was he was up against Irish Panther, and I can't think it was a Gordon Elliott horse.
It was Irish Panther. I backed Irish Panther,
Yeah.
if I recall. I really fancied him. I'll
It was
tell
actually,
you the other horse.
I met Tom Harney that day, and he said this thing's an airplane, or he'd heard this thing was an airplane. So he might have seen him win his point to point. Look, he's a big reputation. He travels very, very strongly, but he seems to stay very, very well. He was impressive in both his bumpers. You know, you'd like to see something impressive here from him. Firefox, he disappointed on his hurdling debut. His bumper form, you'd have to, what is he, 4 from 5 or something in bumpers?
He's 3 from 4 in bumpers, I believe. Yeah,
4 in bumpers. Yeah, I just he spent a long time in bumpers. I don't like to see that. I don't think he's going to be in the class of Ballyburn, to be honest.
No, I don't think so.
I don't. You know, Helvig Trim is a Tattersall's Gold Cup winner, Group 1 winner. And he's ran in Group 1s. He might ran in the Champions League at Ascot. He's run 25 times, though. It's a lot of miles on the clock when you're coming up against really unexposed racehorses. He's still only 6, but he must be schooling well, you know. But as you said last night, he was quite regressive on the flat towards the end of his flat career. So
yeah,
I'd be very, very surprised if he was able to put it up to Ballyburn. Theo, I'm going to keeping an eye on Intent Approach, 5th to the Capo on his hurdling debut. The Passing Wife was actually 4th. Gavin Cromwell's horse who won the bumper last week. And Irency, Johnny McGarvey takes the ride here, so this one might be a bit of a headbanger. Did win one of these AQPS flat races, or what people call French bumpers at Dortal. This track that seems to keep coming up again and again. We must have a look at where Dortal is.
Take a trip out, yeah.
Because a lot of horses seem to have ran there and been bought from, you know, after running the races there. It's not going to be a backing race. I'm hoping Ballyburn wins really, really well, and he does go to fulfil that potential. But Intent Approach and Irency, they're the ones I'll be keeping a close eye on.
Okay, I'm just looking up Dirtle now. It looks absolutely beautiful. It looks like it's out in the countryside. Where are we going? What's the nearest main city? That's big enough. Yeah, no, that's that might be well worth visiting. It's a province, so it's one of these kind of, I suppose it's a Legaf track, I suppose is what the French might call it. I'm not sure.
Chateau.
Yeah.
Chateau.
Chateau, yeah. Look, what about Dr. Glide, who Jim Draper's going to train for Chris Jones, 5-year-old, making his race course debut. An expensive enough store horse by Dr. Dino. Keith Donoghue taking a ride, probably worth keeping an eye on as well. But you know, he'd want to be an absolute right one to win first time up in this field, you would have thought. I'm hoping to see Ballyburn go and win this well. I thought, like, how keen he was and how in his 2 bumpers, especially his first one, and how strongly he's stayed on, and the natural pace that he has. Finds plenty off the bridle as well, it should be noted. Yeah. I actually he reminded me a little bit of Altior as a younger horse, the way Altior went through his races. Altior was a keen enough traveller, but then, you know, when push came to shove, he took a second or two, and then the turbocharge kicked in, and you've seen it to a slight extent, I think, in the Punchestown bumper at the Punchestown Festival especially. And this horse is just, as you said, he travels and he can quicken, and he's a 2-miler all day. And funny enough, Deck, when he went favourite for the Ballymore, he's one of my few anti-post bets. I've backed this horse for the Supreme. Yeah. As I think I can't see him going, like, he's one of these horses that you wouldn't go up and trip with him unless you needed to. I think he's that classy. And as I said, he does remind me a little bit of Altior as a young horse, which I know is a nonsensical thing to say at this stage in a career. But
Well, look,
I
yeah, I'd agree with you. Like he's you know, he travels like a travelly thing. Like you have to travel
mm,
well in a Supreme, and you have to stay well because the gallop they go. And
yeah,
I think he's really suited to it rather than a steady run Ballymore that turns into a bit of a
yeah,
dash towards the end. Like I think he'll. That's where we'll see him to his best is in a Supreme.
yeah,
And then good end to end gallop where he's well within his comfort zone the whole way
yeah.
around, and then just sees it out better than the rest.
Yeah, he would have been one of those classic Ruby Welch from the front, just a half length in front the whole way around, paint off
Yeah,
the gallops and kick at the home turn. He would have been just perfect for someone like Ruby. I'm sure Paul Townend would have no problem doing that as well. But no, he's a horse I'm really, really looking forward to seeing. Even if he's a shade of odds on, I'd probably happily back him on Saturday.
he's going to be
Even
long odds on,
he's
surely.
probably going to be too short. That the others, like your Firefox, who's race fit. Like it takes a good horse to win 3 bumpers, regardless of how long you take to do it. I think it was 12-4, 12-5 he carried in his 3rd bumper. Obviously, as you said, Deck, former Group 1 winner in the field in Helvic Dream. Like it's a loaded maiden, and we're gonna have these type of maidens now probably until at least the turn of the year.
Yeah.
So they're going to come thick and fast, and it's only going to be your proper graded types that are going to win these maidens, or maybe your very, very high end handicappers if you get a weird kind of weaker maiden, which could happen around Christmas, but unlikely. Moving on, Deck, because I doubt you're going to have a bet here, are you?
No, no, no,
No.
no. As I said, I'll be keeping an eye on those two. What with
Mm.
the intense approach and everything.
Yeah.
Be watching how they run. But no, I'd like to see something impressive from Ballybourne, to be honest.
Yeah. No, me too. Absolutely same. Well, we'll move on then to the 125. And again, this is the Close Brothers rated novice hurdle. So this is a 2.5 mile hurdle. Very, very competitive. 11 runners. A few, depending on the race conditions. We do have a few horses carrying 12 stone here. Any Road, Answer the Kite, Redstone, Release the Beast, Sport in the Park, and Western Fold, all carrying your 12 stone.
You want the
And
conditions, do you?
yeah, go on, hit the conditions. Go on.
The conditions, right? A novice hurdle for 4 years old and upwards, which at
Mm-hmm.
entry are rated 125 or less. Weights 11 stone, £4. Penalties: performance before the 28th November for every £1 above the rating of 115,
Right.
£1 extra, or after the 28th of November for each hurdle race won, £7
One.
extra.
£7. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, and that's fair enough. So basically, if you've won a maiden hurdle and you're not 4, you're carrying 12 stone. So very, very competitive, Deck. I know that you weren't mad on the Redstone form. Obviously, King of Kingsfield has kind of made that look a bit poor. I was still very impressed in the manner that Redstone went and run the race, but you have a different selection here. So who do you like?
Yeah, look, it's just Redstone beat King of Kingsfield here. But I'm not sure King of Kingsfield is all he's cracked up to be, and he's let the form down again afterwards. Now that might be a bit harsh on Redstone, but I just at the time I was impressed, but I'm not sold on it now. Um, Two of them I like. One of them is whether he's going to be off or not. Waterford Whispers, the horse we spoke about before, when he won the maiden hurdle at Galway, he gets to carry 11 stone 4. Obviously, he won that Galway maiden in October, being Attaboy Charlie. Probably not the deepest maiden, but he may have to try get involved here now, having won a maiden. But the one I'll probably side with here is Answer the Cave. Now he does have to carry 12 stone. 7-year-old beat What's Up Darling at Limerick, who's gone and beaten the Capo and Navan. I think that's strong form. We mentioned the Capo during the last race there. I know Answer the Cave has to carry the 12 stone, but the others who you'd like to think are the most likely to be involved are also carrying 12 stone. Redstone, Release the Beast, maybe, although Release the Beast is a good bit of fire, but Redstone through on a line through Michaela's choice. I think Answer the Cave could end up being a little bit disrespected here in the market. And
Yeah.
the likely contenders are all carrying that big weight. So
Very capable John Shinnick taking 7 off as well.
Can
He
you
was
play
used to.
it
He was used to.
in
Yeah, you can. This isn't a graded race. This is just a rated novice hurdle. So the claimers are, a few horses, a few trainers choosing to claim. Answer the Cave, John Shinnick taking off 7. Mark McDonough takes 3 off Any Road, and Aidan Kelly is taking 5 off Sundial. Richie Condon taking 5 off Stormy Judge. So there is a couple that are getting claimed. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Mark Walsh is on Waterford Whispers, isn't he?
Yeah, that is it.
He does.
Exactly. Yeah, maybe Aidan Kelly is their handicap in mind for Sundial, maybe at Christmas time, possibly open trip, even up to 3 miles. You'll never know, but we'll see. So you're sticking deck with Answer the Cave, yeah?
Yeah, I go with
Cave.
Answer the Cave, yeah.
Answer the Cave, lovely. I'm going to stick with Redstone. I'm going to trust that what he did at Fairyhouse was just him barely coming out of second gear. I know, as you said, the form has been knocked. Gavin Cromwell was interviewed saying that he actually pointed to Pat Daru, who we'll probably speak about in a minute. I think he runs in the race after, how he won impressively, and I think they chucked him into the Royal Bond, and it was just too much on the horse, and he struggled, and he had to kind of start again with him. So they're going down the novice route, the rated novice route instead of graded route with him. And I think Gavin Cromwell's a big fan of this horse, so I'm going to go with Redstone. Answer the Cave, 7-year-old deck. I would imagine the softer the ground gets, the better. Older horses going through that ground, even with the 12 stone, or even minus John Shinnick 7. So I can definitely see where that's coming from, and it's a race I very much look forward to. We can move on then to the 2 o'clock, which is the Easy Fix Equine Handicap Chase. Imagine an Easy Fix fence. That would be something to see. Maybe in England one day.
They have some easy. I think there is easy fix fences, but I think they're mostly skilled.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, you might see them, as you said, at the Curragh or on the gallops there.
Suddenly use them because they take the fences out, don't they?
Did they actually?
They take them up, yeah.
Oh, stop! All right.
Just running down the same piece of grass all the time. Just take
yeah. That's subtle, Jesus.
Put down the horse, vice versa.
Oh, anyway, 12 stone 1 deck, Dancing on My Own. It was a pound above the threshold here. Or sorry, he's a couple of pounds above the threshold, isn't it? 11 stone 12.
Yeah, no flex over here. Like Herculean today, he's obviously carrying 12-4, so he's declared a 12-4. You know, that's what don't care anymore. Load them up. Sure, absolutely. Horses used to carry lads in like suits of armour. He can carry 12 stone.
It's no problem to them. A really competitive handicap chase deck. Dancing on My Own, you said, carrying the 12 stone 1. Grange Walk, usually a higher class than this, or he's operating at a higher class than this. Fighting Fit, who's in the form of his life but hasn't been seen in a little over 2 months. And then deck, a horse that we've had a lot of time for on the podcast, and probably your selection if you want to talk about the Big Chap.
No, my selection won't be the Big Chap. I could not in here of 134, having won 2 chases, and this is handicap debut. He beat my mate Mozzie at Fairyhouse on his. Was it? No, it was his chase debut. He might make
wasn't his. I think he did he unseat or something.
Yeah, Sligo, I think. And then he gave weight away in a rated novice chase, and Spillane Towers in behind him, who you reckon is 150 plus.
He will be eventually.
I thought he was impressive that day, the Big Chap. I liked what I seen. And sometimes when you just like what you see, it sticks with you, and you should just trust yourself. He's also a maiden hurdle winner. He's absolutely no mug. Like he's
a proper horse.
Small connections, but this fella is, may not have been out of place on the Sunday card in the Drinmore, but they're coming here, and it's his first time in a handicap, and why not? Look, Dancing on My Own tops the weight, rated 153. Has to carry the 12-1. His best performances have come in Britain, though. He won at Cheltenham the last day of 151, but that was a British 151. So, Fighting Fit, you're right, has been in great form. He's beaten Barnacullia the last twice. The form is solid enough. He's in here off 142. I think he's not going to be far away. and the folks Tiara down the end. Second to final orders of 116. That was the handicap debut. And then third at the Punchestown Festival of 124. Same mark here. The folks here is not going to be too far away either, but I think the big chap could be a class above this race. What is it? 150, 150 equals 11.
11, 12, is there?
11,
11, yeah, 11,
yeah. No, I think the big chap could be, it could be a grade 1 horse going forward.
Wow, okay, that's big, big praise for the big chap who, as we said, beating my mate Mozzie would probably have him looking okay off 134. And then giving the weight away in the battling qualities that he showed against Harter Dark at Galway was impressive.
Him and my mate Mozzie as well that day.
Oh, they were an absolute street clear. I'm pretty sure there was a 7-8 lengths. I'd call that a street in the beginners, really. Pat Daru as well. I'm wondering how interesting, how I'd love to be in a fly on the wall when the handicapper was kind of summing him up, and I'm struggling to see where the 132 is coming from. He seemingly struggled over fences, but the handicapper's taking no chances. Twice hammered by Hercule Desai and didn't really get anywhere close to Imagine when last seen. 132 is what the handicappers came up with. I'd imagine there's going to be another day in mind for him. I'll pack it all in if Rosie's Hollow can finally win a handicap chase. I thought she was due at the end of last season, and she just hasn't put it together, and the jumping issues have seemingly gotten worse as she's gotten older, and she's a 9-year-old now, so I'll have to take my chances. Don't Go Yet, who I think was tipped for, we covered Down Royal, I think it was the Friday deck, and was one of our 18-1 winners, stepping up pretty markedly in class here. I don't know if he's ever taken on a horse the caliber of Dancing on My Own, and albeit he's getting stacks and stacks of weight, sometimes it doesn't matter, like classy horses carry the weight, and I think it's a big ask for him now up in class. I do like the big chap, I really do. I'm just wondering now, this is again probably a step up for him, and they're probably going to be going that little bit faster now, stepping up into a handicap chase. But you are right, I don't think he would have been really out of place in the Drinmore deck.
But they've probably gone, look, we could go to the Drinmore, or we'll absolutely sluice in this handicap.
Yeah, and look, if they go and win this, they've got Limerick, they've got Leopardstown, so it's not really, and that's like, if he does win this, you're gonna have to start looking at stuff like that, because you're gonna run out of options sooner rather than later, unless they want to keep
get another one in before, then you start thinking about March.
Exactly. Do you have tissue prices there? No, probably not. I would imagine he should be near enough favourite, I would have thought. I wouldn't say he will be given connections though. I'd imagine Dancing on My Own, even with the big weight, is probably going to be favourite.
The tissues have him at 10s. I thought he would have been short enough now. He might open short enough with the bookies, but these tissues we're not agreeing with them at all tonight. Fighting Fit favourite at 5-1. Kind of have to do it 3 times on the bounce. Fox Tiara and Grey Diamond second favourite.
Right, okay, so we're completely out of whack with the tissues tonight. Yeah. But look, that's fair enough. I'll go with you on, as I know how much you like the big chap, and usually when you're keen on a horse, you're not too far wrong, deck, and I can see where you're coming from. So we'll agree there. That could be the nap at the top, 13. As we move on to the Willow Warm Hurdle, this is a grade 3 for the 4-year-olds, and again, it's a race that is dominated, as it is every year, by horses that were good juveniles last year. Gust of Wind for Paul Town and Willie Mullins. He made his mark pretty quickly in Ireland. He won at Auteuil in France, and very quickly was chucked into Grade 1 company. Ran an eye-catching race, a very eye-catching race actually, behind Gala Marceau at the Dublin Racing Festival. Improved on that to be 4th in the Triumph Hurdle, and I thought he ran quite well behind Enjoy the Dream, albeit you could have maybe expected a little bit more. And it's interesting that Enjoy the Dream, I don't think has been seen since finishing the season a little bit disappointingly at Punchestown and Auteuil. I was kind of hoping to see her this season, but it's I suppose the weight does go on. Who do you fancy here, Deck? This is as I said, competitive for the grade, and
it's a tough one. I have it between three. Risk Bell, she was third in the Fred Winter. She beat Monbeg Park off 127 at Fairyhouse, but she was held at Punchestown off 134. But she'd been to 2 spring festivals by that stage, you know. So, it was still a decent enough run at Punchestown. Gust of Wind, you said, Irish debut. It's a Gelling, actually.
Yeah, he's Gelling, yeah.
His Irish debut was 5th at Leopardstown in the Grade 1, 4th in the Triumph, then the 3rd to Enjoy the Dream. You'd wonder what that has, you know, sometimes those juveniles who danced every dance
it could be hard for them the following year, yeah.
It'd be hard for them, like, you know, although Ilite Tom's done it. He might have made his debut, did he?
He did, yeah, but the thing with Ilite Tom's is he still had his novice status, which does make life a hell of a lot easier. This lad isn't going to have it, but the difference between it'd be going forward, I'd be worrying about him because he's still in against 4-year-olds here. So if it's going forward, it might be an issue.
I know what you're saying, like, but Ilite Tom's did go and win a Grade 1, and that was Grade 1. So, like, there is still hope. I'd probably side with Golden Joy. Golden Joy was a hurdle winner in the tie back in April. His Irish debut came when toured to Smooth Tom and Mares Walk at Naas. I think that could be nice form. I really, really like Mares Walk. And, you know, I was mentioning, I said after she ran at Naas that she could turn up into Paddy Mullins, and I was told on the way to Cheltenham she won't be running in handicap. So connections think a lot of her too. And I know you think a lot of Smooth Tom, so I think that could be nice form. And Golden Joy could take a big step forward now on the second or this run.
Yeah, and it's worth noting as well that Golden Joy was giving weight away that day for his win in Otay. He didn't jump overly well, and he was probably a little unlucky. He went down. The Smooth Tom was a good winner in the end, but he was littered with experience. Philip Donovan was taken off 5 that day, so I wouldn't usually say he was getting £5 from Golden Joy. It really does depend on what way you see claimers. But 11 stone 6, it wasn't an easy task for him. He did kind of hang a little bit right. It was very, like, there was times where you could clearly see he was a novice, only having a second start. I think this track will suit him a lot more. And if he has learned from it, and given that he's race fit, he probably does take the beating. Gust of Wind, as I said, good form as a juvenile last season, but Golden Joy, they're getting another run into him nice and quickly, and I think he's going to take the beating. And just before we move on, Deck, are the tissues, do they have him favoured or Gust of Wind favoured?
Gust of Wind. Golden Joy is 5s.
Wow. Okay.
It's Gust of Wind 2-1, Nusret 5-2, Risk Bell 7-2.
Yeah. If Nusret's off, I'll eat my hat. To be honest, he's 139. He's already in borderline purgatory.
Has he ever been off in his life?
Yeah, well, he did. They sent him to Kenton, didn't they? So, like, I suppose that wouldn't have affected your handicap, Mark, because the British juveniles were dirt last year. But I'll probably agree with you there as well. So that we're going to have 2 there. I'll have to try and stop agreeing with you.
You have a nap at the top double.
A nap at the top double. We're getting a bit greedy now, but why not? We're on a nice run. So we'll move on then, Deck, to the Redwell Stables handicap hurdle, 80 to 130. Bit of a weird one. You don't usually see a discretion that big, because 80 to 1, like, you're never going to get 50 pounds.
You know, you're not really getting to the bottom of the handicap, right?
Yeah, and you're never getting anywhere near, and there's plenty of out of the weights there. 2 at the bottom out of the weights. Sarah Paulette and the Vegas Raider. Really, really competitive again. Zandabad is probably going to be the one that attracts a lot of attention. Well backed many times, and then I think he was actually they tried to get him into the Boodles, and I think he just missed the cut. But he was a horse that came with a big reputation and just didn't really jump very well. But it's interesting that they're persisting with the hurdling. What way do you see this, Deck?
Those 3 of them I'd give a chance to. Look, not 9 Graces. 9 Graces won a nice enough maiden in February before winning the handicap off 112. But disappointed them behind Desert Header at Kilbeggan, though. That was over 3 miles off this mark. if you're willing to forgive that run, and I forgive horses runs at Kilbeggan, like it's an awful place.
Mm.
You're turning, it's like a roller coaster that just goes round and round and round. Um, if you're willing to forgive that, I think Nine Graces has a chance here. But the two would be stronger on Baltic Board handicap debut here. Uh, sorry, yeah, handicap debut. 2 lengths behind the company sergeant, given and gave him £2. Then 11 lengths fifth to High Class Hero. We discussed High Class Hero form a couple of times on here. It's looking quite strong. Only a 4-year-old, and also Feet of a Dancer. Had excuses when 10th on second handicap run over 2 miles. Probably didn't have the pace to challenge and just got blocked off at jumping a hurdle. The race was gone then. Had 1 over 2.5 on handicap debut. Definitely has a chance off this mark. Up £10 from when winning on a handicap debut. I think going up and trip again, back up to 2.5 miles. Definitely has a chance. I'm not ready to forgive Nine Graces, but if anyone is, I wouldn't put you off Nine Graces, but I'd have to take Baltic Board and Feet of a Dancer.
Baltic Bird, Feet of a Dancer. The one I was really excited about, well, I wasn't really excited about, the one that really did catch my eye, because I think he's slipped down to a nice mark, and this is by far the easiest race he's had the pleasure of contesting in quite a while, is Legacy Tour, 9-year-old for Stuart Crawford. He ran quite well, I thought, at Down Royal. He was a no-hoper, 40-50 to 1 shot, and they didn't go very fast, and he was up in the van. They got away from him on the home turn, but he was lucky not to come down. Like, it was really, really, really badly hampered. And the jockey just eased off him. So he was better valued than the finishing position suggests. Go back a couple of starts in the middle of all of those duck eggs. He was a second, beaten half a length by Lyser, who we brought up earlier when we were going through the Cotta Horla form. Lyser, very, very well handicapped horse. Admittedly, Lyser was way better valued than the half a length victory that day at Cork. But back in third was the very man, Lucky Max, back and forth to, I think he was first past the post at Fairyhouse at the Irish National Meeting. Got chucked out, but it was strong form nonetheless. Like, if he could find a repeat of that Cork run, given his likely ridiculous odds, he's worth a flyer, I would have thought. So, and as I said, he's down in class here, so I'll take a chance on Legacy Tour. And just going back to Zandabad, look, Tony Martin has a habit of usually something rocking up to Leopardstown and getting backed off the boards. There is a 2 mile and there's a 2.5 mile novices handicap hurdle at Leopardstown. I'm hoping to God it's not the one Walkaway Harry is going to rock up in. There's a 2 mile one and there's a 2.5 mile one, and hopefully one's in one race and the other's in the other. But if that horse rocks up at Leopardstown in one of those novice handicap hurdles, you can start getting giddy. Because I think, if this horse can just brush up in his jumping, he's on a really, really dangerous mark. And I don't think Saturday is going to be the day for him. So just keep him in your trackers for Leopardstown at Christmas time, Zandabad. I imagine the cat will be out of the bag with him because he's very, given his connections and even the profile, the price tag that he came with. I think he was a listed winner or listed place in France on the flat, so he's no mug at all. But he's one to keep a very, very close eye on. But I'll take a chance on Legacy Tour at a big, big price, hopefully, in the 310. Moving on then, Deck, to the final race, which is the 340, and it brings the curtain down on a really excellent card of Fairyhouse. The Willie Elliott and Summerhill Mead SFC Champions flat race. Probably not going to spend much time in here on this one, Deck. 2 point-to-point winners in here. Binge Worthy for Gordon Elliott, and also for Gordon Elliott, Jalon Derry. What way do you see this folding, or are you just going to...
I didn't even look at it. I didn't spend any time.
Very good, no worries. No, that's no worries at all. Going on jockey bookings, I'd imagine Jalon Derry's is going to be the one that they have to beat in at the park for Willie and Patrick in there as well, having his first ever racecourse run. But he is 5 rising 6. You'd be asking a question on where he's been all this time. And then the other Mozzie, my mate Mozzie's half brother down there as well for Gavin Cromwell, who has had a great time in bumpers recently, but this lad would probably want to improve on what he's shown in bumpers already. So that brings us to an end deck of top 13. We do have a nap at the top double, I suppose, for our best bet. So we'll be keeping a close eye on the big chap in the fixed brush chase, and which is, I think, at 2 o'clock. And we've also come down on the Rob Core runner in the 2:35. Golden Joy. Yeah, easy fix, not fixed brush, the easy fix chase, and then Golden Joy in the Willow Warm Hurdle, the grade 3. So 2 nap of the tops there for us. That brings us to an end of top 13. Dexter, anything you want to add just before we go, or are you happy enough with that?
I have boarded up here, Andy.
No, fair enough. I'm letting us roll.
Again.
Fair enough, no worries, man. All right, well, until next time, which will probably be Saturday morning when we have top 14, which is Sunday at Fairyhouse. You'll have to wait until then, but that was top 13, guys, and we'll talk to you soon.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.